So if you have a teenager or a preteen who is in a toxic relationship, you probably should listen to what I'm saying now, because recently I've had to work with a young boy, preteen, 8 years going on 9, and we're having issues trying to get him to disconnect from a particular relationship that even he has agreed is draining him. Okay, so here are a few things I want to share to you. Number one is children don't let go of relationships because you tell them to. They let go when you can help them outgrow the need for that relationship or the need that the relationship is feeding. And I am learning this as I work with this young boy. I'm going to give you a few things that I have seen, like patterns with young people dealing with toxic relationship. They know the relationship is toxic, but they are finding it difficult to disconnect from that relationship. I'll give you a few things. Four of what might be happening. First is that relationship or that other person is a strong influence personality. You know what I mean by strong influence personality? People who carry an energy that is big energy, big boldness, or a kind of mischief that attracts others easily. Even in your own circle, you can find people like this who are mischievous in an attractive way. So your child may feel powerless to pull away because that friend dominates the space. That's the first thing that is likely. Number two is that your child may be a conflict avoidant child. A conflict avoidant child is usually afraid of disappointing people, afraid of breaking friendships, because they want to keep hanging on, even when that friendship or relationship is draining them. Number three is that your child may not know exactly how to end a friendship. And if you're honest with yourself, this is a skill that a lot of adults struggle with, how to let go of relationships. That fear of hurting people, that desire to be people pleasing. Cutting people off is a skill, and kids don't naturally know how to do it without guilt or pressure. Even some adults do not. So that's one of it. Number four is that that other child, that other person who is the friend, may be offering something that your child enjoys, even if it is harmful. Sweet poison. Sometimes it's excitement, sometimes it is laughter, sometimes it's just the familiarity. And like I said at the start, it's the big energy that your child is trying to fit into. So what can you do? I'm going to tell you about 6 things that you can do before I will recommend coaching. Replace, don't remove is the first thing. Most people struggle with dropping a relationship without an alternative. Kids rarely drop any relationship without an alternative. So your job is to create that alternative. Create new, healthy social outlets. It could be cousins that he enjoys, it could be friends at church, get him into a sports club, organize play dates with other kind of kids. Put him in environments where he can find alternatives to this character that you want him to move away from. I've often said that you cannot choose your child's friend for them. What you have authority and influence over is to choose the environment and the circles from where they pick their friends. So that when he feels full socially, he will voluntarily detach from that other thing that drains him. Okay? The second thing you can do is, by all means, do not make that other character an enemy. Once you attack that friend, your child will defend. It's natural. Once you attack, the child defends, even if that relationship is harmful. So instead of telling him to stop playing with that guy, or telling him that that guy is a bad influence, you will need to rephrase the conversation. I've noticed that this young person or this your friend, you're always feeling tired or stressed, which is exactly what I said to my mentee. I see that you're always feeling tired, you're always feeling stressed, you're always feeling upset after spending time with this guy. And we agreed on that. So we came on the same page with that. And then the next thing is, okay, can we find ways to protect your energy, protect your parents' energy? Because this guy, by extension, is draining energy from your family and from every other person who you have to now pour this frustration on? Can we find ways to make you feel stronger and happier? That conversation is helping us to shift from judging the friend to protecting this young man. Number three, that child needs coaching in emotional intelligence, emotional boundaries, not disconnection. Teach him sentences like, I want to play alone for now. I don't feel like doing that today. Let's take a break. I want to be by myself. I'm not comfortable with that. You know, setting healthy emotional boundaries, and you can role play these scenes with him. You can role play these scenes with him, practice them, and make him confident to stand his ground when the real situation arises, because confidence is what makes a child less manipulable, that's less susceptible to manipulation. Number four is set environmental boundaries. Environmental boundaries, it ties into the first thing I said, which is that you really cannot choose the friends, but you can influence the environment from which your children pick their friends. Limit spaces where they meet toxic friends. Adjust their routines so that they are not constantly together. They know, adjust the child routines. You have influence over that one. Reduce unsupervised time that they spend alone away from you, which is the time that this toxic relationship can board. All right. Then increase structured activities around the time that your child normally would spend with that other guy. Now you're not banning the friendship. You're not deleting the friendship. You're just managing the exposure to that friendship. And number five, and this is very important, is you need to strengthen your child's identity. Kids who know who they are choose their friends, not the other way around. A healthy identity is a strong foundation for choosing and managing relationships. So, strengthening their identity can come in many different ways, involving him in activities that make him competent, build his skill, let him take small leadership roles, affirming him daily, praising his strengths, and a whole lot other things you can do in that regard. Because the stronger he feels with himself, the less he'll be influenced by someone else's energy. And finally, you need to watch out for why your child is attached to this individual. What do they like about that friend? What makes them want to keep spending time with that friend? How do they feel after they spend time, or when they are spending time with that friend and after they leave? You need to know exactly what is creating the attraction and the attachment, because if you could change that, then you're going to be able to have control and influence over that relationship. All right. And you're going to have to ask these questions directly to the child and get the answers directly from the child. If you don't address the underlying need, this connection is going to not work. It's going to fail. So those are my thoughts. If you're dealing with a young person who is struggling with a toxic relationship and unable to disconnect from that relationship, I hope this